Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is another special chapter from Future. This one is a YouTube exclusive. It's not on Quirky Fanfics, as it was asked for well after I wrote Future. This is a two-part one-shot following Kairi and Denki. There are a few of you who have asked for a little more content on them, especially Denki as a dad. Most notable of the lot is Shania, am I saying that right? Who lives and breathes for Denki and was super happy that he got himself a good girl. So without further ado, this is a snapshot into the life of Kairi and Denki. Enjoy! Kairi had always known that Denki wanted to be a dad. She also knew that he would be an amazing dad, as she had witnessed his paternal side many times. One memory that she'll never forget is when her little niece Ginny slept over at their house when she was a little over 5 years of age. Little Jin had stayed up later than usual, watching cartoons with Denki, and he had let her have some extra lollies too. Unfortunately, the combination of overtiredness and sugar meant that her little body went to sleep on overdrive, which is never a good thing in kids. At 3 a.m, Kairi woke to the sound of Ginny crying pitifully from the spare bedroom. Hearing such a sad little cry made her jump out of bed, but not as fast as good old Uncle Denki, who sprang from the bed like he'd just been stung by a tarantula hawk. Jin! Jin, I'm coming for you, baby! Don't cry! He called as he promptly got his foot caught in the bedsheets amid his hasty departure and face planted onto the floor. Dank, you good? Kairi called as she too stumbled from the bed. Yeah, I'm good. You hop back into bed. I'll settle Ginny, he said quickly as he untangled himself and ran from the darkened room into the even darker hall. Kairi hopped back into bed, but the adrenaline was shooting from limb to limb, and she had to lay there for a bit to calm her beating heart. Hey, Ginny, sweet, what's wrong? Kairi could hear Denki asking his little niece in a soothing voice as he fell into the spare room. Uncle Denki, I'm scared, little Ginny cried. It's okay, I'm here, Denki said in a softly calming voice, and you heard the bed in the spare room creak as he crawled up onto it to get to her. Come here, it's okay now. Why are you scared? He asked the quivering little bundle. I think the big scary ball with teeth is gonna come and eat me, she whimpered. Big ball with... Oh, yeah, from the cartoon? He asked, putting the two and two together. She made a little sound of confirmation and he cooed. Hey, it's okay. You know what? Your Uncle Denki here is a hero. Do you know what heroes do? Save the day? She asked in a small, hopeful voice, sniffing a little to bolster herself. You bet, he said proudly, and I won't let any yellow, scary balls come anywhere near you. If they do, I'll bop them on the nose and then hold them down, and you can do some of your own super punches on them, okay? He asked. This must have perked her up because Kairi could hear a little giggle come from her. Okay, Denki said, his voice sounding happier since he had cheered Ginny up, and she heard the sound of the bed creak again. I'll let you get back to sleep, yeah? It's early. Oh, wait, Uncle Denki, Actually, you know what? Your bed's pretty comfy. Can I sleep here? He asked, sensing that she was still a little afraid to be in the dark all by herself. Yeah, it's really comfy. You can stay here all the time you like, she said happily. Kairi smiled and rolled over onto her side to face towards Denki's side of the bed. I guess I'll be seeing him in the morning, she thought as she drifted back off to sleep. It was well into the next morning when she woke, and she popped one eye open as she stretched. The sun was streaming in through the curtains, and she yawned loudly, legs quivering as she reached a full stretch. She sighed, rolling to the other way to look over at Denki. But he wasn't there. Her head left the pillow quickly, and she looked at the open bedroom door. Then she remembered last night with Ginny, and got out of bed to check on them. Sneaking to the bedroom door, she poked her head out and saw the spare bedroom door was open, so she crept lightly across the hall to look in. There was Uncle Denki, curled up with Ginny in arms, and they were both completely dead to the world. Kairi smiled and snuck away to start breakfast. They'll be hungry when they wake up, she thought as she walked softly down to the kitchen. It was a few weeks on from that Kairi had started to feel a little queasy in the mornings. She usually had a coffee to wake up, but most mornings she went without. Hey, you okay? Denki asked one morning as Kairi wrinkled her nose at the smell of coffee wafting across the kitchen while he was making a mug of it before work. Oh, I don't feel too good, she said, pinching her nose and scrunching her eyebrows heavily. That smell is really strong. Is it? He asked as he looked at the container of instant coffee in hand. Don't tell me I've given myself a double shot. R.I.P. to the villain who gets zapped today. They're going to cop it supercharged style, he chuckled. Kairi took a step back, still blocking her nose. Denki looked at her, his jovial face falling slightly when he saw her pale. Hey, you sure you're okay? He asked worriedly. She shook her head and turned to run to the bathroom. Denki, being the concerned boyfriend that he was, quickly put the coffee tin down and gave chase, hoping to be able to help in some way. Kairi ran for the bathroom sink and only just made it in time as she craned her head over it and heaved. Not much came up as this was the first thing in the morning, but just dry reaching into the sink was enough to ease that sudden wave of nausea that had overcome her. I think I'll stay home today, she said sadly, running the tap and dipping her head to the side to catch a bit of water in her mouth to rinse her mouth out. I keep feeling sick. Was it the food from last night? Denki asked with concern, standing in the doorway watching her. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't brought it up, so it must have all digested. This has been happening for a little while now, but it seems to be getting worse. Maybe I'll see the doctor, she commented, talking more out loud to thin air than Denki. Do you need me to be with you? He asked. She shook her head. No, you go to work. I'll be okay. It's just a little queasiness. It's fine, she said, straightening and giving him a weak smile before wiping her mouth with the back of her hand. Okay, if you're sure, he said, his brows knitting with worry. I'll be fine, she said again, walking over and giving him a hug. He hugged her back and then helped her into bed before getting his things together and walking to the front door. Man, I hope she's okay, he thought as he walked off down the road. Denki! Denki! His work colleague, Mina, called to him as they ran after a villain later that morning. Huh? Yeah? What? He called back, snapping from daydream to present as he gave chase down the street side by side with her. I'm going to get in front of him. You guard the rear, Mina shouted. Oh, yeah, got it, he called, the sound of their running feet echoing off the surrounding buildings. Mina charged ahead, using her acid quirk as leverage to skate up and over and around the villain and drop down in front of him. Surrender! She shouted, hands out in front in readiness to blast his legs with acid should she need to. But the villain decided that now would be a good time to give it all up and just dropped on his hands and knees in front of her, begging for forgiveness. Denki caught up and just stood there puffing, looking at the villain on the ground, and then Mina as she shrugged. Nothing more needs doing, I guess, she said with a confused smile. The capture and handover of the villain was done in a matter of minutes, and then Mina and Denki were free to go, heading back to the agency building to complete the paperwork. Bro, you've been space cadet all morning. What's going on? Mina asked the preoccupied blonde. I'm just worried about Kairi, Denki admitted. What's wrong? Is she sick? Mina asked worriedly. Yeah, she threw up this morning. She hasn't been feeling well lately, he said sadly. Oh, that's no good, Mina replied sympathetically. Hope she feels better soon. Yeah, same. Otherwise I'm going to have to start making coffee at work, Denki said with a small chuckle. Wait, why will you have to make it at work for? Mina asked with confusion. Because the smell of it sets her off, he said, looking across to Mina as they walked. The minute I start making a coffee, she runs for the bathroom. Mina stopped in her tracks, eyes as wide as saucers as she stared at him. What? He asked, stopping as well since she'd frozen up in the middle of the path. Dude, you know what I'm thinking, right? Mina asked, excitement starting to bubble up in her voice. Nope. Oh, wait, we start a coffee shop? That would be so awesome, he replied with sudden excitement. No, dude. Wait. Fill a pool with coffee and jump into it. Oh, yeah, man. Sick idea. Denki put his hand out to slap it to hers, but she wasn't playing his game. Kairi is pregnant, dude, she yelled at him. All of a sudden, it was as if all the busy city noises were sucked into a vacuum and time slowed right down. All Denki could see was Mina. Pregnant? He thought as he stared at his colleague. As in, have a baby? A baby? Mine? We're having a baby? I'm a dad? Back at home, A few minutes earlier than the interaction with Mina and Denki, Kairi was Googling her symptoms. Okay, so I'm going to die of a brain tumour. She deadpanned as she read the first search result on Google. Then she saw the next one down. 10 strong signs that you are pregnant. Pregnant? She screeched, sitting bolt upright in bed. Her eyes locked onto the word on her screen and she just sat there, unable to move. Am I? She asked herself as she clicked onto the link. Reading the list slowly, she mentally pointed out the ones that applied to her and then read the next paragraph. The only sure way to tell is to do a pregnancy test and a blood test with your doctor, it said. Before she knew it, she had her shoes on and was out the door on her way down to the corner store to get a pregnancy test. Heart pounding all the way there and then all the way back with now a brown paper bag clutched in her hand. Making straight for the bathroom when she got home, she ripped the packet from the bag and started reading the instructions. Denki wasn't sure how long he had been running for, but he had almost sprinted the whole way back to the apartment, the only thing spurring him on being the thought of Kairi holding a baby in arms. His baby. A little family of 3. His lungs stung, his breathing wasn't getting much oxygen into him anymore, and his feet hurt, but he'd never felt so good. Grabbing for the front gate of the apartment, he quickly keyed it open and shot to the front door, keen to get to his girlfriend and soon-to-be wife as soon as possible. Kairi washed her hands and waited, staring at the little pregnancy test on the bathroom bench. It was taking forever to give her the results. As the little clear window flashed, she waited, hearing a faint noise in the apartment stairwell outside her place. The timing couldn't have been more perfect, because at the exact moment that the window on the pregnancy test flashed up the results, Denki had charged in through the front door. "You're pregnant!" he shouted into the apartment. Kairi stared down at the little screen on her test stick. "Yes," she whispered in an awestruck voice. Oh, and there's the end of part 1 of this little snapshot of their life. I'll have part 2 up next week. See you all then.